Okay. Jigden Gemba Jebon de Lo Jorwa Lana Lada Menam Jen Bejawa Jaja Dobala Jaze Lo Jodo Jazo Je Utumba Jomden de Jenja Da Jomba Yandam Zombe Zanje Dikba Dan Jamzo Jigden Jemba Jebon Deve Galo Jorwa Lana Meba Lada Menam Jetumba Zanje Jomden de Pejawa Jaja Dobala Chudo Jazo Jo Demba Jomden de Deje Jeba Da Jomba Yandaba Zobe Zanje Riva Da Jazo Demba Devara Jeba Jigden Jemba Jebo Meba Lada Menam Je Damba Zanje Jomden de Bejawa Jaja Dobala Ja Chudo Jazo Je Ho Lama Da Gombo Jezun Jambe Yang Chaze Lo Gange Oye Lo Te Oye Temne Oye Tende Namda Rabzeve Che nye aye dun guen, che je aye se che nye je do ga le wa ma en zen. Kanda e ze be e ze ra e ma re men do ma en do nye ge ze be. Cha zo e guen la e bo je e da ze e yen la e zhu zhi yang den song. Cho da ra e je cha e nye mo e nye long e le ye e cha zho e zhe ze chen. E men do e do nye e nye go e che nye e chen ze e ra je nam. Te ne e da je sa je e da se yen den len zo ja se do be go. Cho da e jo da e jo nye e gen de da lu e me ze jang be yang la de omo arabazana 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 Omara Bazana, 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 di 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 zenden je gera vese je dalu temo memba ravse kadan denje jonglo doba ye lo zhe bo be na ze do su jo je me do dama re ra len je nyen de jamba de Sanje Jendo Mede Bewa Ye Dogun Namda Jen Chevara Shoy Tamba Je Namanje Jogu Kala Kenze Tende Ne Chedara Sambe Dujan Zemala Sabje Chöje Charba Abdo Se Rana Mendala Ganaya Daya Me Sanje Chodan Tsoje Chonama Jangju Bado Dane Jazo Dage Jeje Jebe Zonama Je Jola Benje Zan Jovara Shoy Sanje Jodan Tsoje Chonama La Jangju Bado Dane Jazo Dage Jeje Jebe Zonama Je Jola Benje Zan Jovara Shoy Sanje Jodan Tsoje Chonama La Jangju Dane Jazo Je Dage Jeje Jebe Zonama Je Jola Benje Sanje Jovara Shoy Good morning. How are you all? Can you hear? Are you comfortable? Okay, good. So, how was the week?
Warm.
Warm, okay. So how about in terms of practice? Yes, we all experience warm weather. So let me just throw this question. So some of you, this is not the first time you are studying the patience chapter. And for some of you, this is the first time. And we are already coming to the end of the chapter, chapter 6, end of the chapter 6. So whichever category you are in, after listening to these talks, how did it affect your life? How did it change your perspective? Or how did it help? So of course I am making a big assumption that it helped, isn't it? So that's why I was asking, how did it help you? Yes.
I think it helps in retrospect, especially because I lose my patience with a loved one. And then at the time I have a justification that, oh, I need to do this for this person. But then in retrospect I realized, no, there would be a lot better way of communicating. And to be patient is always the winning thing. So it's really helped looking forward that as I gather more of those experiences, it helps me to stop myself from following that previous path.
Okay. I think Ken Dunn made, two important points here. The one is we lose our cool with our loved ones. That's a very common thing. We were more careful to lose our temper with a stranger or our colleagues or somebody whom we are not that close. But when it comes to our loved ones, close friends, family members, very easy. We lose our temper, we show our anger, we display our frustration, annoyance, and whatnot. So that's where we should begin our practice. So that's very important. When we're able to do that, then the outside that circle, I believe that it's much easier. So I think that's one important thing. The other thing Kendon mentioned about is the justification. We have our own justifications. And after going through Shantideva's different various reasons, actually Shantideva destroys all our justifications. Shantideva, what do you call? Describes all kinds of situations and justifications that we might give. And each and every justification, he refutes that. And then, after going through that, we thought, oh yeah, that's true. I think there was a single refutation that we will not accept. Every justification to me is like, that's so true. Isn't it? That's what I believe. But of course, different people interpret differently. But to me, it's like all that refutation, all the reasons, the logics that Shantideva provides in this chapter really makes sense. And it's like, yeah, it's so true. Sometimes, when the other person really provides a logical argument, no matter how you are angry at that, sometimes you kind of agree. So let me just tell you this, share this story. Back in monastery, we have someone called disciplinarian. So he is like the policeman of the monastery. He is the authority there. So he will decide what punishment. If he finds that you are not following the rule, he will punish. It's up to him, whether severe or the easy one. So normally people don't really look forward to disciplinarians scolding. So in monastery he is called Gegu. So when you write, I think sometimes it becomes like Gego. So Gegu. So literally means one who leads you to Dharma. Gegu. Anyway, so normally in monastery what happens is, so in the gathering, in the puja, so Gegu will read the whatever dedication, list of dedications. After that, if he wants to scold, that's the time he will scold. And normally people don't really, nobody looks forward, isn't nobody wants to listen to any scolding. Whether the person is scolding to you or not, nobody likes that. But sometimes we have Gegus who are very eloquent and who really makes a good point, logical, and sometimes like we wish, we look forward to the scolding. It's so funny that when the Gegu comes and then read the dedication list, and then when he leaves, if he engages it as that way, you don't feel the, that bitterness or whatever it is from the scolding. You enjoy it. So likewise, I feel that whatever Shantideva is saying is like in the same category. Don't you agree? Of course, you don't have that one to compare. So come to monastery and then listen to one of their scoldings. Anyway, anybody wants to contribute or share how your life has changed after this?
So I've heard teachings from Shantideva more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've heard them before, I've understood them, and each time I've listened, I've tried to incorporate them. But it's one thing to know and to agree with the logic, and it's another thing to really take it into yourself and really live it. And one thing that I'm grateful for that you've done is that you've worked very hard to try to get us to try to embody it. And so, I'd like to think I've made some progress this time. I think for myself anyway, I know I have a long way to go in developing perfect patience. I am not patient by any means, but it's been a blessing to hear the teaching again. There's always more to learn, and this has been a very good teaching. I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? One thing to understand and agree. I concur. Yeah, really, yeah, good. And then you leave your cushion, go back there. Just out the door, there somebody is there, and there comes the practice. You go home, drive home, there somebody cuts into your lane, and there you go. So go away all that whatever you have listened to. So it is nothing, unique, isn't it? It is a common thing. Everybody finds that. It's very difficult to practice. Most of the time we forget. And somehow the mindfulness leaves us. So that's what we are here for, isn't it? To really strive, to try, to familiarize, to make it our second nature, make it our habit. So far, why we are unable to do that is because we are so habituated or accustomed to doing the other way, which is get enraged, get angry. We are not so much familiar with the patience part. So when you are walking on an unfamiliar path, there's always hesitation, isn't it? It can be a bumpy, you may lose your way, but when you travel or walk on the path that you are so familiar, it is like you can just walk on that path with your eyes closed. So that's exactly what is practice. So we have to make ourselves more familiarized. Practice more. Yes, you will forget. But I always believe that the key thing is to every morning set up this motivation, set up this determination that today I will not let myself under the control of anger. Today I will not lose my temper. Today, no matter whatever the situation, how rude, how unreasonable the other person is, I will practice patience. So I feel that that's very, very important. So from the morning, if we are able to have that determination, set up that motivation, then there is a chance that along the day, along the way, we may remember or we may be able to practice patience. But if you don't have that, if we don't have that motivation, that determination in the first place, then it's less likely. So with that motivation, even with that motivation, we may forget. But it's okay. It's okay. What will happen is, later, after all that is gone, you will remember, oh, I'm supposed to do this, but I failed in this. So there is kind of a regret there. So what will happen is, you are more, motivated to do better the next time. So that's how we progress. We always make mistakes. We are not perfect. We are imperfect. We live in an imperfect world. We make mistakes, but we have to realize the mistakes. Those who don't realize even the fault of anger, they are unaware of all this. So every day is same. So the more you engage in anger, the more aggressive you become. Anger becomes more frequent. This is established by research. They have done research in social psychology that engaging in anger more often, it makes you do more. Whereas if you are able to kind of step back, then there is chance that that will be less frequent.
Last night when I went to get wood,
Mm-hmm.
when I went to the gate, I was led to the wrong destination, and then I kept going in circles trying to find the destination, and I finally found a person to find the specific destination that I needed to get to. But it was frustrating because if the person would have just sent me to the right direction, it would have been so much easier. But so when I approached the gate going out, my first inclination was to be silent, not say anything. And silence seems to have a powerful, it's an antidote for anger in a way, because you just let things just melt away.
Yeah.
But there's also another side that sometimes it's good to be honest with people and let them know so that they can improve the direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it all depends on your motivation. What is your motivation to point that out, to get even with him, or really to help? No, I'm not talking about you. Just generally I'm saying. So, whether it is really to, so that, next time the next person comes and asks him the same question, maybe he will direct to the right place. So if the intention is really to help, that's always good. And the second important thing is, you have to do this without losing your coolness. That's a bit difficult. And then let's say, imagine the scenario. You go there and say, hey, where you pointed me to was the wrong one. How would that person respond? If the person says, oh, I'm so sorry, certainly you are okay. But if it says that, oh, something else, you become angry. So the question is, will you be able to take whatever response he is going to give you? So if you are okay, then yeah, good. Or you can just do, okay, I know that this will irritate him, this will anger him, and he will come back with a nastier response. But this is a good way to practice. Let me just go and practice. That's another thing. But very few of us can do that, isn't it? Anyway, anybody else? You want? Okay.
I think I'm failing. So, for a little part of me, it's very successful. That's why we are here, right? So, I think the Filipinos, I'm from the Philippines, we have this, we're so passionate about things. I call it passionate. And we are so mad.
So it's passionately mad, is it?
It's another word. So I tell people I do not tolerate. I don't claim to know it all, and I don't claim to be an expert on everything. But I hate it when people give information to, for example, last night we were in this party and there are 12 Filipino teachers that just arrived from the Philippines the last 2 weeks. And there's a couple of my friends that are like, know it all, but they're telling wrong information. And when they asked me, I said, I tell them what I know, and I said, I'm not an expert. But inside me, I'm boiling with these two friends. So then I did my research, and I said, okay, the human resources told these kids the right thing, and I told them about the IRS.gov about taxes. And my motivation is to tell them, the kids, that what you were told is correct. But I felt guilty for correcting my dear friend. What do I do with this? How should I? Because I'm boiling inside. Please don't give these people wrong information. I just.
No, that while you are talking, it just reminded me of some things. So one is giving wrong information. I think I'm okay to say here. It's very common in India. So we go there, we are looking for this particular shop. So there will be street vendors, everybody there. So you go, oh, where is this place? So go ahead. You go there, and then there's nothing there. And then you ask somebody, oh, go there. They simply tell you to go ahead. They have no idea. They were clueless on what I'm asking. It happened to me many times. Because you are looking for this particular shop there, and then sometimes you have a card here, and say, oh, where is it? They will look at it. Go ahead. Because they looked at it, and you think that, oh, they all know this one. But then you end up completely the opposite direction. So that happens. So what Shantideva would say, that, oh, these are the, your precious people, to come back and say, thank you very much. And then another thing that reminded me is that this is, I think, many of you have seen, this is about the video clip of Geshe Lama Kunjok. Not Geshe Lama Kunjok. Lama Yeshe. Remember one time there was this, during the class, so one of the students was asking a question. He said, oh, I have come to Buddhism for several years, so it's all very good, he says. And then, so, I have done this retreat, good, he says. And then I've done this and this, good. But I said that I realized that I haven't accomplished anything. When he heard that, very good, he says. So see, there's a point. Because first they're saying that I did this, but then the final realization is that I haven't gone any further. So that realization, so the response to that is very good, very earnest and very approving, very good. So that means that's very good in the sense that you realize your shortcomings. That means you are trying. You are trying and you realize. And we also have to, what do you call, what is the word? Today I am in that mode that, I cannot get the exact. We have to, what is that one? Cope our expectation, is it? What is the other best word? Manage our expectation. Sometimes we come with an unrealistic expectation that, oh, I come to class, I listen to this talk, and then I go home and I will be perfect in patience practice. That's not going to happen. It takes time. It takes time. Even for someone who has been practicing for years, you don't see that. So we have to manage our expectation, and we have to tell ourselves that it takes time. As long as you are making even an incremental progress, that's good. So in your case, I would say that it's very good that you realize all this. Many people don't realize that. And you were also wondering whether I should say this or I shouldn't say this. Even that doubt, that reluctance, that hesitancy is a good thing because you know that there are two sides. Should I, shouldn't I? So at that time, the best thing is to really check your motivation. What is your real motivation? Sometimes, motivation, you have to be very, very careful. It can be very subtle. You think that you are doing for the other people, but when you really go deeper, when you look closely, actually there's something, I'm not saying that in your case, but generally, is actually something to do with my ego. How could I let this happen in front of my eyes? So if in that case, you see, there is ego is the one. You are motivated by your ego, your pride. It's not really, even though you say that I really want to help them. So in such situation, if you are in two minds, just check your motivation. Is it really selfish motivation or is it really other-oriented motivation? And then when you really say that, you have to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to say this, but I should say without anger. I should really expect a nasty response, but I will keep my calm. So if you are able to do that, go ahead. Isn't it?
Without feeling guilty
Yeah.
correcting a good friend?
No, you can explain to them that, But also you have to see, what do you gain from this? Yeah. So is it really worth? Just, remember it is better to be kind than to be right. Sometimes, oh, this is the right thing, I must correct them. What does it serve? Sometimes you be kind, okay, let it be. Okay, let's just get back to. So far we are talking about other sentient beings. Shantideva's kind of final chapter is like how precious others are. One reason is because we get angry, we lose our temper, our coolness in relation to others. So if you are able to change that perspective, at the moment the others are unimportant, others are always at fault, so we need to change that perspective. So if we are able to change that perspective, then the anger in relation to others may have a lesser chance to arise. So that's why these final verses, Shantideva is pounding on the point that others are very precious, very important. So he is providing various reasons why others are important. The first main line that, is my favorite line is, remember that Buddhahood is achieved through, what's that one? Through, revering, is it? Revering Buddhas, and then also sentient beings, pleasing sentient beings. So, one hand, you have Buddha. If you make offerings and you please Buddha and all these things, if you do all this reverence, you cultivate merit, and that will result in achieving enlightenment. But on the other hand, on the other side, you have the sentient beings. If you treat them nicely, you can also achieve enlightenment. So now, in terms of result, it's same. Both produces enlightenment. So why are we so focused in revering this part, but ignoring the other side? That's one reason. So Shantideva was giving more reason. So then, for us, it's like Buddha is so important. Buddha is so holy. That's why we revere. We make prostrations. We make offerings. So they're saying that if that is your view, then in order to, we take care of sentient beings. We treat sentient beings kindly in order to please Buddha. After all, we are all there to please Buddha. If that is your goal, then do what can really please Buddha, which is to be kind to sentient beings. Remember, like the mother, if a mother has only one child, normally the mother will be really, really, concerned, and really all her love would be poured into that only child. The best way to make the mother happy is to buy a gift to that child. If you buy a gift to that child, let's say if you buy just a candy or ice cream, mother would be more happy than somebody buying her, let's say, an iPhone. Because to her, that is the most important thing. So likewise, the Buddha, the most important thing is sentient beings. So when we take care of sentient beings, definitely Buddha will have. You see, there's a logic there, what Shantideva is saying there. So we are like, we care so much about Buddha, but we don't want to do what Buddha likes us to do, what Buddha will be happy about. We will do or engage in the act that will displease the Buddha, but we still want to please Buddha. That's not possible, isn't it? Then another is that Buddha has worked so much for us from the beginning of his practice until he achieved enlightenment. It is all about us. He has sacrificed so much. Thank you. He has endure so much hardship and pain just for us. So if we want to repay that kindness, again he's saying that the only way to repay the kindness of what Buddha have done to us is by cherishing other sentient beings, the sentient beings. And since that is the case, so when we relate to sentient beings, we should really relate to them with humility instead of having this conceit and this excessive that pride, arrogance. So this is the here. For those who have become my lords at times took care not even of their bodies. Why should I, a fool, behave with such conceit? Why should I not become the slave of others? Thank you. Thank you. So that's what we covered. So now 122. So now it's refraining harm to sentient beings. We should refrain ourselves harming sentient beings because kanda tewe tupna ngejur shing kanla nuna meji chungjur ba. Buddhas are made happy by the joy of beings. Their sorrow, their lament with beings suffer. Teta gawe tuba kuin ge shing tela nuje tubla nova chayas. By bringing joy to beings, then I please the Buddhas also. By wounding them, I wound the Buddhas too. So clear, isn't it? So if our goal is to make Buddha happy, then make sentient beings happy, because by doing that, Buddha will be happy. Buddhas will feel the pain. Pain in a sense that it's not that, Buddha is already enlightened, doesn't really, but Buddha will, won't like it. It's like Buddha always, with compassionate eyes, always looking at the sentient beings. So when Buddha sees sentient beings suffering, there is it's like really strong wish that they not suffer. So we are adding to that. Sentient beings, they are already suffering, and then when you do that, so it adds to their suffering, and Buddha cannot bear to see that. So when you think that, don't you feel what is the word now? You feel terrible. It's like kind of scary that think this way. So whatever harm and whatever suffering you are causing to other sentient beings is like indirectly hurting Buddha. By bringing joy to beings, then I please the Buddha. So if we want to really please the Buddha, then we need to please sentient beings. So there's no way we can please sentient beings by being angry at them. So that's the point. We have to stop getting angry at sentient beings. Not easy. By wounding them, I wound the Buddhas too. So I have a picture of mother and child. So same thing. If you hit the child, of course the child may cry or not cry, but the mother will feel the pain. It's like there's no physical pain, but imagine the mother will feel the pain. But if you treat the child nicely, then the mother will be happy. So if you have a friend who has a young child, and if you want to make the other person, your friend, happy, so buy candy for the child. So this is to show that there's no way by harming sentient beings you can please Buddha. Chidar lula kwinne me barwa doba kwinji yidir minjurwa tishin simjin nyoba chenayang tuji chenam gebe tamme dos. Just as there is no sensual delight to please the mind of one whose body burns in fire, there is no way to please the great compassionate ones, while we ourselves are causes of another's pain. It is self-explanatory, isn't it? The image you see is a real image. In Tibet, the monks and Tibetans, self-immolate. They burn themselves up. To them, that's the only way that the world will hear about the situation in Tibet. So they have to take this drastic, desperate actions just to burn themselves up, hoping that at least the world will hear about this and the world will address the situation in Tibet. So until now, if I'm not mistaken, like 143 have self-immolated, but after, I think, His Holiness advice. So for now, it has stopped. But despite these drastic actions, nothing is happening. Anyway, the analogy is that if somebody is on fire, and there's, come and enjoy, you prepare the best food, the most delicious food, and if you offer them, you said they won't enjoy that. We don't have to think of these drastic things. Let's say when you have a headache, and even there is a very aromatic food on the table, instead of getting into it, it kind of makes you nauseous, isn't it? You don't want to eat it. So likewise, that's the analogy. The meaning is that it's same. The way we treat others, there's no way that it will make Buddha happy. So in that sense, it's like really what we are doing is really kind of cancels out, isn't it? On the one hand, morning we wake up, do prostration, make offerings, and then we leave, and then we engage in these actions that can cause harm to others. We get angry at others. So whatever we have done in the morning kind of cancels out. I'm just giving an analogy, but it doesn't really cancel out. But it's saying that it will not please your goal. If your goal is to please Buddha, that will not happen. Dewe thaki dola nö chebe tukje chegu mege gyurwa kang tikde terin sosur sha giyi mege kanla tetup sobar söz. So now that we have, for most of us, we don't know that. We have done that in the past out of ignorance. So we are now kind of confessing that, whatever negativities, whatever actions that we have done that cause displeasure in Buddhas. So I am now confessing, and then saying that from today onwards, I will be mindful and I will not do such. The damage I have done to beings saddens all the Buddhas in their great compassion. Therefore, all these evils I confess today and pray that they will bear with my offenses. So asking forgiveness, whatever I have committed, those negative committed in relation to sentient beings. So I confess, and then hopefully Buddha will forgive us, definitely. And then, I will do better. So this is what we call the purification practice. Purification practice, I think many of you know, is a very important aspect of practice. So it serves many purposes depending on the intensity or the power of your purification. So if the purification is the highest level, if it is very powerful, then what will happen is it will eradicate even the root of it. So that means you will never experience the results. Let's say if you have engaged in an act of killing, so you have committed a negative action of killing. But if you do a very powerful purification, then you will never experience that. It is completely purified. So that's the benefit of engaging in the powerful, the highest level of purification. Even the medium level, what will happen is, even though the medium level of purification cannot really eradicate the seed, but it will at least lessen the consequences. Let's say if we have created a karma that will bring us, let's say that will bring us to animal realms. If that karma is going to bring us, that karma is going to result into our being born as, let's say, a rat. But if we do purification, the medium level, if our purification is a medium level, what will happen is, instead of being born in lower realms, we may experience some illness or some headache in this life, and that exhausts that karma. So minimum, even if your purification is not that powerful, not even at the medium level, but what will happen is, it will stop or it will prevent our negative karmas from multiplying. Normally what happens is, if you commit a negative karma, and if you don't do any purification, it keeps multiplying. It will multiply. That's why we have a saying that kebe tikba, chi yang yang, chi yang yang, lumbu tikba, yang yang chi. Got it? So it says that the wise people, those who already know about this, normally the wise people, they know about this purification. They know, not really purification, they know about if you engage in these negative actions, there are such consequences. Because they did it knowingly, so at first, their karma tend to be strong. But because they are wise, they know about this process, this purification practice. So they engage in purification and then become lighter the consequences. So at the beginning, it was what you call strong. But because of the purification practice, it becomes light or lighter. Whereas the fools like us, we don't know. We engage in these negative karmas because we did it out of ignorance, not knowing. Our first karma is not that strong. Even in law, isn't it? If you do out of ignorance, the punishment is lighter. Whereas premeditated, isn't it? You think about it, you reflect on this, you plan, then it is more serious. So in our case, we are ignorant. We didn't know about it, so we engaged in it. So the karma was not that strong. But because we don't engage in purification, then it keeps multiplying. In the end, that becomes very powerful, very strong. So that's why if we do purification practice, even at that lower level, at least it will prevent our negativities from multiplying. So you see the point. Of course, we want the first one, the strongest, the most powerful one, so that we don't have to experience at all. But for all this to happen, we need to have this all present, the four opponent powers. Sometimes they are known as the 4 R's. What are the 4 R's?
Regret.
Yes, reliance, regret,
Reliance, and
remedy, and then there's something else. 4 R's. Reliance, regret, remedial action, then resolve. 4 R's. First is called the power of reliance. We need to this. So this basically means generating or having refuge and bodhicitta. These two must present. So we have refuge. We try to generate bodhicitta. So most of our practice, we have this. So why we need these two? We create karma in relation to either three jewels or sentient beings. In order to counter the negative karmas that we committed in relation to three jewels, we have the refuge. The karmas that we created in relation to sentient beings, we generate bodhicitta. So that's why it's called power of reliance. That must be the foundation, that must be the base. So on that, we need the power of remorse. We must have this regret, this remorse. in the commentaries it says that you should have this, you should have remorse the way you have when you accidentally drunk a poison, when you accidentally consumed poison. How much regret would you have? I didn't know, I shouldn't have eaten that. I should have known that that is a poison. That kind of strong. So in terms of committing negative actions, we should have that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have lost my cool. I shouldn't have gotten angry at that person. So this is so important. When you have this one, then then this will come. Because now you want to do something about it. You want to apply the antidotes. So remedial. So remedial can be any practice. You can even do, most popular one is prostrations. We normally do prostrations. That's why I always suggest that either in the morning or evening, do 3 rounds of prostrations. If you are able to do 3 sets in the morning, 3 sets before going to bed, that's the best. If not, at least do 3 sets of prostrations within 24 hours. So that is to prevent whatever negativities that we have created, or that is to stop multiplying all that negativities that we have committed within that 24 hours. So that's a very easy practice. It doesn't require you, much time. How long does it take to do 3 prostrations? You can do that in 1 minute, isn't it? It won't encroach into your precious time. Even doing any mantra, of course, Vajrasattva practices, that alone is another set of practice. Doing mani recitation, whatever mantra recitation, whatever practice you normally do, if you kind of incorporate that into as part of your purification, that's a very good thing. And then finally, we need to have this resolve. Because if you don't have resolve, then it's like, I commit one thing and then do prostration, again you do that. So no real point, isn't it? So you have to have this, that, this one I did out of ignorance, I lose my mind, I was forgetful, whatever reason you take it, but in the future, I will not repeat. You must have that resolve. You may fail, is okay, but but of course your resolve shouldn't be like resolve to fail. That's not the one. But your resolve should be strong that I will not repeat this again. But if it fails, it's okay. But the resolve, at that time of resolve, you should have this thing, I will not do it. So with all this presence, if all these are present in our purification practice, then it will yield some benefit. So whether our purification becomes the most powerful level, or whichever level, it depending on how powerful these 4 are. If all these are very powerful, then your purification becomes very powerful. If all these are so-so, then your purification practice is also so-so. Okay, let's stop here. Okay. Okay, so where are we now?
Resolve.
Resolve. So, beginning from tonight, do prostrations. Some of you are already doing, isn't it? You know, some people do 100 prostrations every day. Okay, where are we now? So now we have confessed the wrongs. So now we are making the resolve. Tishin shek nam gebar gi le du tengne ni du jigden tendu cheese. Tengne ni du jigden tendu cheese. Domang dogbe tagi chiritso kams kumjangs. Medo jigden könge zös. That I might rejoice the Buddha's heart. Henceforth, I will be master of myself. The servant of the world. I shall not seek revenge, though crowds may trample on my head or kill me. Let the guardians of the world rejoice. So the different translation is this. In order to please Tathagatas, that's actually kind of teles, the Tibetan version, Tibetan word. In order to please Tathagatas, today with my entire being, I place myself in the service of the world. Let streams of people step on my head and strike me down. May the protector of the world be pleased. Are we up to that? So the main reason is that in order to please Tathagatas, since that's the way to please the Buddha most. So in the past, I know I had committed this, but I didn't know. Now I know. I'm not going to do so. I'm going to do, or I'm going to engage in the actions that really pleases the Buddha. Actions that really please the Buddha. I place myself in the service of the world. So now I will serve others. Earlier, I want others to serve me. I am the king, I'm the boss. So now I want to exchange that perspective. I am the servant. Sentient beings are the Lord or the boss. So I'm going to serve. While practicing all this, the word said, the crowds may trample on my head, but I will remain calm. Or kill me. People may come to inflict harms. But we are making this resolve that we will restrain ourselves. It's a big resolve, isn't it? But it is, I mean, at the moment we may not be able to do the whole thing, but it is always good to make prayers. May I be able to do so. That's why in many of the prayers is that I will do this, may I be able to do so, may Buddhas bless me. So there are three. So first you say that it's good to do, so I'm going to do it. Then you are making prayers, may I be able to do so. And then you are seeking blessings from three jewels that I be able to do so. So that's very good. I am a firm believer in prayers. I always equate that with the saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So I consider that determination and making prayer as the first step. So when you do that, time will come. Time will come that, wow, I didn't expect that I would be able to do so. And then you realize that, hey, I'm doing it. So this will come. So it is good, even though this seemed or appears very daunting, but it is good to make the wish. Everything starts with a wish. Drupa deda tukji tani de taadu zeban dila tezom me simjengo wur tongwan deda ni kuende tani chijir kuyumi chis. So this simjen la yang kubra chawa dwede temba. So this is, in one commentary, this is like the summary that we have to revere or respect to sentient beings. So basically this is saying that to Buddha, sentient beings and himself, there's no difference. To Buddha, sentient being is as precious as himself. The great compassionate lords consider all beings as themselves. Does it make sense? I don't know whether. Yeah, maybe it's a typo error. I typed it wrongly. So anyway, the meaning is that they consider them sentient beings as themselves. Because when they engage in this practice, the bodhicitta practice, exchanging oneself with others. So for ordinary people, we cherish ourselves. Our welfare comes first. Our thing is the most important thing. And then when our welfare, our things, when we are able to fulfill our wishes, and then we may think about, thinking about others. But in Buddha's case, exchange that. We cherish ourselves. We don't cherish others. But in Buddha's case, he exchanged that view. Instead of cherishing himself, he started cherishing sentient beings. Instead of ignoring others, he started to ignore oneself. That means putting others before oneself. As a result, Buddha is where Buddha is now. So that's what Buddha practiced, and that's what resulted in achieving enlightenment. So that is what Buddha is doing. So there's no doubt that where the Buddha's priority lies. To Buddha, it's same. So In that sense, those whom I perceive as beings are Buddhas in themselves. So those sentient beings, in some commentary, this is a bit tricky. In some, it's not that clear. In some commentary, it says that because all sentient beings have this potential, or what we call the Buddha nature. So at the moment, we perceive them as ordinary, full of flaws, but in reality, they are Buddha. So I think one analogy that I think I heard someone use is that a gold piece, let's say you have a chunk of gold. If it is buried under the soil, when you take out, it's all covered in dirt. There's another gold which is free of all the dirt. But in terms of gold, what you call, in terms of nature of its material, both are gold. It's just that this is covered in dirt. So if you bring that under water and wash it out, it will be same. So sentient beings are like this. At the moment, it's a bit messy. It's a bit covered in dirt and all that. But the moment we clean out, we remove all the soil, then it's gold. It can fetch the same price. It can do the same function as this clean one. So in that sense, sentient beings is like the gold just wrapped in dirt. So we have to look beyond that dirt. And there is this potential, there's this nature, Buddha nature there. So since Buddha treats sentient beings, others as Buddha himself, then who are we to treat them separately, differently? How can I treat them? How I cannot treat them? How can I not treat them with respect? So we should treat them with respect. Remember earlier, the Lord of the Lord. Buddha is like our Lord. But who is the Lord of Buddha? To Buddha is sentient beings. So, sentient being is the Lord of our Lord. It's nice, isn't it? So if that is the case, then yeah, we have to respect them. In the lineage, you have to respect your guru's guru, isn't it? What made your guru is because of guru's guru. So in that sense, I mean likewise, that's what means Lords of Lords. That's... Oh, another break you want? No. We cannot afford, isn't it? So now it's more like the extolling the benefits of treating sentient beings in that particular way. So the first one is like pleasing sentient being is the only way, one and only way to please Buddhas. Tinyi dishin sheba nyeje yin nyeje yin rangdun yangdang drupa tinyi do jikden tunyi sewan tinyi de tede tagi tadu tinyi chas. This very thing is pleasing to the Buddha's heart and perfectly secures the welfare of myself. This will drive away the sorrows of the world and therefore it will be my constant work. So Shantideva kind of summarizes 3 reasons why we should please sentient beings, why we should not get angry at sentient beings, why we should not harm or inflict harm sentient beings or others. Because there are 3 benefits. The first is that this very thing is pleasing to the Buddha's heart. So we are all out to please Buddhas. So this is the one and only one to please Buddha. If you are really out to please Buddha, then you should do this. And secondly, is like that. Perfectly secures the welfare of myself. By doing so, by taking care of sentient beings, by being concerned about sentient beings, by cherishing others, it will secure your goals, your welfare. That's why in Shantideva's one we saw that. It says that when it's extolling about the bodhicitta, it says we don't have to talk too much. Just look at Buddha and ourselves. Where is Buddha now? Where are we now? We started off together, and Buddha is now up there. We are still in this existence. So the reason is because Buddha placed sentient beings as priority. That's why Buddha is up there. And we place ourselves first, and that's why we are still here. So if we do that, then it says we will achieve what Buddha has achieved. Our problems will be less. Remember we talked about how. Okay, we can test. Okay, give some examples. Why we need sentient beings? How does it says perfectly secures the welfare of myself? How does it do? How can you understand? Yeah.
Teaches us patience.
Okay.
Provides opportunities.
That's one way. What else? Let's say we want to look pretty, handsome, beautiful. Where does that come from? Through practicing patience. For that, we need others. We cannot go in the cave, in the jungle, look at the trees, the rocks, and patience, isn't it? Practice patience. We need somebody to infuriate us. Only then we can practice. And then, the result will be, you have good health, pretty face. We don't have to spend so much on cosmetics. Nowadays, plastic surgery is a big business, isn't it? We don't have to do that. And then wealth. We want to be rich, wealthy. Where does wealth come from? Through practice of generosity. Generosity. To practice generosity, we need others. We cannot just go and give alms or give things to the inanimate objects, isn't it? We need another sentient beings to receive that. This will drive away the sorrows of the world. If everybody puts others before oneself, I think there will be no war. Even at the moment we have this global warming, this, you see, what do you call that the crazy weather, wildfire going there, hurricane going in another place. All this we call it, we say, scientists say that it's because of global warming. Global warming, how did it happen? Many out of greed. People put oneself's welfare at the top. They don't care the consequences. If everybody put others' concern, others' welfare before themselves, we won't have all these problems. Even in the state, USA, there's so many things going, isn't it? In politics and those and this thing. Many of these are because you're so worried about yourself. Even the politicians make all kinds of remarks just to hold on to their seat. They don't want to lose. I know that this will cause so much destruction and harm to others, but I don't care. As long as I keep my seat, I'm okay with that. You see, that kind of thinking is the cause. So everybody change their way of thinking, then this will drive away the sorrows of the world. World will be peaceful. And therefore, it will be my constant work. So now that we know how putting others before self is so beneficial, I will do so. Maybe it's a good idea to every day, you kind of set a goal. Today I will at least do one type of this practice, putting somebody before yourself, and see what happens. They say that all this compassion and this altruistic mindset has a ripple effect. Try that in office and see over time. But definitely if you do that, you will be happier. People will respect you. People will appreciate you more. They will be willing to give helping hand when you need it. But if you are selfish and always trying to get ahead of others, then they may show a smiley face in front of you, but we don't know what is going behind your back. What are they talking about you? And when you really need help, then it's difficult. Remember, there's a saying, what's that? You have to be careful when you are on your way up.
You meet them again on your way down.
Yeah. Could you repeat that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
You have to be careful on your way up. Because you never know who you meet when you're way down.
You see, that's how you treat others. If you treat others well, even at workplace, even if you have a misfortune or something, if you were demoted or whatever it is, they will be genuinely sympathetic, empathetic with you. But if you are that nasty guy, when such thing happens, they will gloat, they will rejoice your downfall. You don't want that. Okay, I think we will stop here, because here and there's these together. We will stop here for today, and I have important things to place order. Very important thing to do.
So
Okay, let's stop here.
First, the short mandala offering on page 4, and then continue with the concluding prayers on page 6. Just the first verse.
Choji medo dhamma re ra len je nyen de gyamba de sanje shingdo mekde bewai drogun namda jing la jabara sho rana mandala ganaya daya me Rinpoche manje bana manje yoroje jeba nyamba meba yanga gone gondo pewara shoy. Koze rabden je namgara tele jojo jeba da losan tembe deme zazo Chuye muse dado ne joroje. Korwe shengamuzo pendan dewa malu jongwe ne chenre sewan tenzin jazo ye shabe sede bado ten joroje. Jedara jemba da gundo zambo deyan de shendo deda kungi jesu talo je yawa deda damje rabdo ngo. Yawa damje je ngowa kanla chodo ngaba de dage gewe zawan de gwenja sangbo jeje rabdo ngowara je. Thank you, thank you.